Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Alex Reitz of PreZero and I'm here today with Pia Buchmeier, Team Lead for Research and Development at Packaging Cockpit. Welcome, Pia.
Hello, Alex. I'm very excited to be here.
Pia, we are here today to talk about packaging, taxes and fees, and especially how PreZero SPOT, in cooperation with Packaging Cockpit, our new platform for digital packaging optimization, can help companies to navigate this rather confusing field, right? And obviously, packaging costs should not be the only thing that people take into account when they're making packaging choices, right? There's sustainability requirements, there's marketing aspects, technical feasibility is all very important, but let's face it, costs are important as well. And especially over the last few years, they've been constantly rising. Like in the past, people had to contend with EPR fees, which are also rising due to inflation, rising cost of energy, and so on. But now there's also littering fund that we have in Germany, that's driven by the SUPD, obviously. And you have eco-modulation in more and more countries. You have plastic taxes on the horizon. So for this example of a bag of chips put in the market in Germany, even without accounting for the plastic tax that might be coming soon, the costs have nearly tripled for the end-of-life costs. So I'd like to ask you, how important are these end-of-life costs compared to the overall cost of the packaging, and what is the general approach of these EPR and additional fees?
Thank you for the question. That's indeed quite an important topic. So the end-of-life costs are closely tied to the environmental impact of the packaging. So those expenses are associated to the waste management, to the treatment of the packaging, to the recycling processes, to the landfill use, and to the environmental cleanup. So in that way, the initial distributor contributes to the costs for the proper collection, for the sorting, for the recycling process of his or her packaging put on the market. Accurate knowledge of those end-of-life costs helps businesses better understand the full economic and environmental implication of their packaging, and can in that way help to lead to cost savings decisions and through improved packaging design optimizations, for example.
How then does it work in the tool exactly? How do people work with it and how do they get their results?
So with the SPOT tool, you can simply enter the details of your packaging and conveniently calculate automized your end-of-life costs. At the moment, we have EPR, the possibility to calculate EPR fees for almost 20 countries, and the plastic taxes for UK and Spain.
Okay, can you maybe illustrate this with an example, how it differs between different markets? If you have, for example, a quite common coffee cup, let's say with a plastic cup, plastic lid, aluminum seal, and then a paper sleeve. How does this work and how does it compare in different countries?
Yeah. In the case of the EPR fees, the packaging is broken down into its packaging components. And for those packaging components, specific tariff is assigned. This tariff is then, in the following, multiplied with the weight of the component. And what is really important to say is that those fees are quite different in different countries. So they are depending on the packaging material, on the packaging type, on the ecological criteria in the context of the eco-modulation, of course, and also on what EPR provider or system you have, of course. So on that slide, we see the example of a coffee cup, and we see the difference between Spain and the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, 1,000 pieces of this coffee cup, the EPR fees are around 18.30 euro, whereas in Spain we are around 13 euros. So that shows that there are quite differences in between the different countries.
Yeah, it's quite a difference indeed. But I guess it also makes sense if you look at the systems as a whole. They can vary a lot from one country to another, right? So you have these state-run monopolistic systems, and then you have very competitive markets like in Germany or in Poland, for example. So I imagine the research for this is also quite difficult. So how do you approach this? How does this work, especially in competitive markets like Poland and or Germany? And how comparable are the fees that the users see in the tool with the prices of specific providers?
That's a very good question. So especially in countries with several providers, the prices shown in the tool contain some estimates and, of course, average values. We have to make some assumptions. So, for example, we cannot contain into our calculations minimum fees, flat rates, or any individual tariffs or prices. So as these average values in the countries with multiple systems compare very well to the actual charges, they can therefore be a strong driver for packaging design decisions. So the results of our tool give a very good estimate of what the final EPR fees will be. But of course, we have to say that actual costs for or individual prices for companies, for example, ARA, PreZero, Reclay, etc., may differ.
Okay. So then maybe last set of questions. These costs also tend to change quite regularly. So how often do you update the costs in the tool, and what are your plans for the future to even go further with the functionalities of the tool?
That is true. That's also why we put a lot of work and effort into our research. So we try to update all of our data twice a year. And of course, if there are any major changes, we try to implement those with immediate effect. And for the future, we plan to further develop EPR fees and, of course, the criteria for the eco-modulation. And also we want to implement the fees for littering costs and other costs which are important for relevant for the packaging and the environmental or economic impact of the packaging.
Thank you so much, Pia, for this great interview. Very, very insightful. Thank you for being here. And also thank you very much for joining us today for our spotlight on packaging costs. If you want to find out more about the other features of PreZero SPOT in cooperation with Packaging Cockpit, or just want to request your own free access to our digital platform for packaging optimization, just click on the link in the description below. Right.